Listen!
We've been getting a lot of twisted takes on fairy tales lately. Ever since a lot of them went into public domain, we've been getting a lot of slop, a lot of films that is not worth the torture to sit through. But here comes Ugly Stepsister to the rescue. A twisted body horror folk tales inspired by Cinderella, but instead of told from Cinderella's point of view, is told from one of her ugly stepsisters named Elvira. It's set during a fantastical version of the Victorian era, and I think it was the perfect stage for this film because they take full advantage of all the things that this movie would entail and how oppressive and disgusting some of the antics that they do back then to the fullest extent. Gross Tale, you had some beautiful set design, some really great costumes, and really used the oppressive feeling that women went through back in that day to really tell this horrifying tale. Elvira's family is torn apart when her stepsister Cinderella's father passes away. He leaves the family with no money, and now it's up to her mom to figure out which one of her daughters and her stepdaughter she can sell to the highest bidder so they're not just out here poor and struggling to survive. This dash to present one of her daughters, her young daughters, as a virgin that someone would want to marry to, specifically the prince that we know from the Cinderella story, causes a chain of events that gets things start roll into a dark turn. Unfortunately, Elvira, who's a young, naive little girl, is seen as less attractive than her stepsister Cinderella, and a lot of the competition that's also after other oligarchs and the prince. She has braces, she has a imperfect nose, she's a fatter than the rest of the girls, and I want to put that in quotations because she really had like a regular body size, but back then this was fat. And her desire to feel genuine love, to please her mother, to get accepted and be seen on the same level as Cinderella leads her to go through some procedures that are really hard to watch. Like last year's body horror classic The Substance, this movie has themes of women and young girls trying to meet these unnecessary and unrealistic beauty standards in order to feel whole and accepted in society. Trying to do this at any cost because of a crisis, you might be going homeless. Another theme they have is that isolating feeling when people don't feel like you are worth anything. They act like Elvira's not worth anything. She's not the best dancer, she's not the best singer, she's just a person that's trying to live and is young, and because she's not the most beautiful, she's not worth it, and she doesn't feel genuine love from anyone. So she has this eating insecurity inside of her that causes her to go down this dark road. The big key difference between The Substance and this film and other body horror films that we're getting that are feminist body horror films is that the procedures and the things that Elvira put herself through are real. These are things that they used to do back in the day to women to make them look better in the beauty society standard that they had at the time. And I gotta say, versus like normal body horror where like blood is splurting and his body parts falling off and all these different fantastical crazy things that's still disgusting, this movie was more hard to watch because the realistic nature of it. Like the fact that I know that this is stuff that people go through, it just made my stomach turn and squirm. Sometimes I almost had to look away in disbelief. But I did not realize, like, yes, it's crazy that they went through this back in the day, but this is just barbaric versions of things that people do to themselves now with plastic surgery and the different types of pills that they put in their body that adversely affects. There's something specific that happens in this film with a tapeworm that is going to haunt me for the rest of the week.
Emotional, damn it!
But with me saying it's a body horror film, I just want to let you know, I don't think this film is particularly scary. I think the horror comes from what the girls have to put themselves through and the escalating things that happens to Elvira and the other girls in this film as the movie progresses. The way the men treat them as items, watching them as they undress, kissing them when they want to, just taking advantage of them throughout the film, and the way the older women do the same thing, manipulating them in ways to get what they want. It's the lack of humanity that most of these girls are treated, but especially Elvira, because we're seeing everything from her point of view, that made this movie engaging, because you're wondering when she's going to finally snap, because she seems so untouchable, unlovable, because she's not where they think she needs to be in every different beauty aspect. And the actress Lea Myren, who plays Elvira, is fantastic. Going from this sweet, naive young girl who just wants to get some genuine love to this kind of obsessed and jealous and going insane and crazy person. I think that transition was smooth enough and genuine enough where you can see where it started when she was in the beginning of the movie and where she ended in the film. It's kind of really great to see that character arc play throughout. And this is based on Cinderella, and a lot of the aspects of this film takes from that fairy tale. You'll see the ball happen. You'll see the slipper and the prince trying to find who's wearing the slipper, and all the different things that we saw. A beautiful girl being forced to clean and do the dirty work from her step family. We get all those different things, but we're getting it from the perspective of one of the ugly stepsisters, and it adds a little bit of nuance to what we see from that fairy tale. Not all black and white in the way that the original movies and tales tell it when it comes from Cinderella's story, which I thought was really interesting. And the actress that plays Cinderella is really good in this film as well, but what's really interesting is Cinderella is the antagonist in this film, but unknowing to her, she's just trying to live her life. She's grieving her loss of her father. She doesn't want to marry an oligarch or a prince. She just wants to stay with her common boyfriend, who's like a stable guy, and live her life that way. But because of the way society is, she's being forced to do things that's out of her will or way. And that competition between her and Elvira just escalates as the movie goes, as they feel like they are the opposite against each other and don't like each other because it's a grand miscommunication and the manipulation by other women within this kind of system that they have. That leads to the tension to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually Elvira losing it, which will lead to some really cool moments even the most seasoned horror fans will squirm at. And I gotta say, the last 10 to 15 minutes of this film is some of the most disgusting stuff that I've seen in a horror movie in a while. Luckily, the film has some satirical humor throughout to kind of make everything feel a little bit more digestible. I gotta say, I think this film won't be for everyone because of the aspect of the fact that this is mostly a kind of fairy tale drama with some body horror elements throughout. So based on the trailer, what you hear about the movie, you may be thinking it will be a little bit more scarier. And then the film is also Norwegian, so most of it is in that language with English subtitles as well. And I think the movie didn't escalate as far as I thought it was going to go. Even though the ending was kind of still crazy, it didn't escalate to the craziness that I was hoping the movie would. But overall, I think between the wonderful performances from the lead and everyone in the supporting cast, I think the strong themes that they pulled off here when it thinks about like the oppressive feelings that women went through and the things that they had to put their bodies through to meet the beauty standards, and the way they put the story together, the film design, and the movie is just really put together really well by a first-time director and screenwriter, and this director is now on my notice. I think this movie is going to be worth the watch. It's coming out in theaters on the 18th, and then later down the line on Shudder. Whether you go see it in the theaters or you wait for it to stream on Shudder, I highly recommend checking it out because I think it's a very unique experience and a unique take on something that we've seen a million times. So with that said, I'm going to give The Ugly Stepsister a B. The question of the day for you is, what is your favorite dark fairy tale? Let me know in the comments down below what you think, and you can watch more content